Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Officially half that work week in the rearview mirror. We're working towards the weekend here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Final weekend of regular season play in college baseball. It'll be LSU in South Carolina from Columbia coming up tomorrow night. Like 40% of the time in my car, you get the Frozen soundtrack or the Blippi Excavator song. The other 60%, I'm trying to consume as much college baseball content as I possibly can. Was checking out the Baseball America podcast yesterday. Peter Flaherty, one of the co-hosts of that podcast. He's a national writer and analyst for college baseball and the MLB draft for Baseball America. Good enough to give us some time here on this Wednesday. He does so on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Peter, thanks for the time. How are you?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
It is our pleasure. Y'all's latest field of 64 came out today. LSU, the number 2 national seed behind Texas in those projections. They're pretty volatile week to week with a lot going on all over the country. Texas has obviously lost a couple of weekends in a row. Give me through y'all's thought process, Texas, LSU, and then Auburn right behind them at number 3.
Yeah, I mean, as you hit on, it's pretty volatile week to week. So, you've seen a lot of changes up there at the top, and then throughout the entire thing. I guess our process with having Texas at 1, they're still atop the SEC standings at 20-7. They have a top 5 RPI. They're 40-10 overall. They've got a top 15 strength of schedule. Metrically, they have a really strong resume, and also record-wise. And then LSU right behind it. We also debated having LSU there at the top seed. We felt metrically they weren't quite there yet. Just, they're firmly a top 8 national seed, but they're 222nd ranked non-conference strength of schedule. And then they still have a top 25 strength of schedule. But when you're talking about the number 1 overall national seed, that's on the somewhat lighter side to have that. But that's not at all a knock on LSU at all. As I said, they're still in a very good spot to have a top 8 national seed, home field advantage throughout its entire run to the College World Series. They're in a very good spot. And then Auburn, I guess, at 3, that felt pretty natural. Coach Thompson's done an excellent job this year. They're second in RPI. They have the number 1 strength of schedule. They have 14 quad 1 wins. That's a pretty dynamite resume from a metric standpoint. So it felt like they were a pretty natural fit there at 3.
Everybody in the SEC has gotten punched in the mouth at some point or another. Just took Texas longer to get there. They go to Fayetteville and get swept, and then lost 2 out of 3 against Florida last weekend. What's your confidence level in Texas as we move into late May right now? Is it wavering a little bit?
I'd say a little bit. They've now lost each of their last 2 series. They're down to number 6 in our most recent top 25. Now, I will say it's wavered in the last couple of weeks, but Coach Schlossnagle in year 1 has done an unbelievable job, and this is with a team that had its struggles last year in the Big 12, and they've assimilated really, really well to the SEC. They can really pitch, and that's a huge testament not only to Coach Thompson, but also to pitching coach Max Wiener. The pitching on this team is absolutely its strong suit, undoubtedly. I think I wonder a little bit how much they're going to hit. And if they're going to be able to hit enough to sustain a run to Omaha, I think they can get there on their pitching alone. But if something were to do them in, it'd be their lack of offense. And we've now seen that in each of the last 2 weekends against 2 high-quality clubs. And Arkansas a couple weeks ago, and then also Florida. In their 2 losses against Florida, they scored a combined 3 runs. In their 2 losses against Arkansas, 3 losses, but in their first 2 losses against Arkansas, they scored just 1 run total. So I know that their pitching is going to keep them in every game. I'm not worried at all about that. Maybe a little bit more so just given Jared Spencer being out, but still a talented staff. I wonder how much it's going to hit. So I think when looking at teams that could contend for a national title, Texas is certainly on its list, but they lack the well-roundedness that some of the other teams have in my mind.
Peter Flaherty is our guest, at Peter G. Flaherty on Twitter if you want to check him out. He's a national writer and analyst, college baseball and the MLB draft for Baseball America. LSU, I know y'all talked about him on the podcast yesterday. For Tiger fans that want to listen, it's just about right at the top of the podcast. But give us your thoughts on LSU as a team. We know you've got him as the number 2 national seed here in the field of 64.
Yeah, we have him ranked first nationally in our most recent top 25. That was an easy choice on our weekly call. That was kind of a set it and forget it. And then number 2 national seed, we dove into that a little bit. And then on the podcast, I think if I were picking a national champion today, they would be on the very, very short list of teams I would consider, and for good reason. I think harping back and circling back to that point of well-roundedness, LSU fits that description to a T. I think starting offensively, you have 6, 7, 8, or 9 guys that you can feel really comfortable with in the batter's box. Obviously Derek Curiel, who's been an outstanding freshman, Jared Jones, Danny Dickinson, and Stephen Milam are kind of spearheading that effort. But when you supplement guys in like Jake Brown, Chris Stanfield, Ethan Fry, who's had a breakout year, Josh Pearson, whose experience is unmatched and is also producing at a respectable clip. Again, I just rattled off 8 guys there. That is a really tough team to both get 27 outs against and also win those 27 outs. And then that's not even to mention the pitching staff. And they have one of the most formidable 1-2 punches, I think, in the country with Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson. Cade is a National Pitcher of the Year candidate. I think, full disclosure, when all said and done, it'll go to Liam Doyle. But
yeah.
Cade this year, 3.65 ERA, 124 strikeouts to just 20 walks in 76 innings. It's a really tantalizing combination of strikes and also stuff. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he goes inside the top 15 or so picks in this year's MLB draft. And Anthony Ianson has hit another level since 2 really productive seasons at UC San Diego, sub-3 ERA, 116 strikeouts in 74 innings. I think in a trait that's becoming increasingly rare in today's college game, he really knows how to pitch. Command and control are really advanced. It's a simple, repeatable delivery, and he's got improving stuff to boot. So he's got a lot going for him. And then, Kason Evans is your 3. You throw in William Schmidt, Chase Shores, who's been effective, Connor Ware, and Zach Cowan, who's been one of the best relievers in college baseball. I named 8 guys in the lineup. That was about 6 or 7 guys on the pitching staff. So there's depth on both sides of the baseball. It's high quality depth at that. And it just kind of screams a team that could potentially dogpile in Omaha for the second time in the last 3 seasons.
This is a question that I wanted to be sure I asked, because this is something that's a little bit new. You're the second outlet that I've seen this week that have put 6 SEC teams as a top 8 seed. And that's not something we've ever seen before. And it's something we've been asking about really for like a month around here, because the RPIs kind of looked that way. Do you feel like there's a chance the committee would look at that and go, may need to slide Coastal in, may need to look at Oregon if they're a Big Ten champion, because that's too many SEC teams? Or do you think that the committee will look like y'all did at Baseball America, like some others have gone and go, well, these are the ones that deserve it, so we don't care what their conference is?
I think that's the route they'll go. I think they'll go the most deserving route. I bet Oregon will host when all is said and done. Coastal is, at least at this point, looking like a slam dunk host when all is said and done. But as far as the top 8 national seed goes, I think LSU, barring an unforeseen setback this weekend in Columbia, is in a really, really good spot to be a top 8 national seed. Where exactly they slot in inside that top 8, I guess we'll find out in a week and a half. But for me, at least right now, they're pretty safely inside that top 8 national conversation. To circle back to their metrics a little bit, they're 7th in RPI. They have a top 25 strength of schedule. They have 19 quad 1 and quad 2 wins. It's a really dynamite resume through and through. So I have a hard time imagining that, again, barring an upset weekend in Columbia, which I don't think will happen, LSU will have a top 8 national seed, which is huge heading into Omaha, because, they're 30-5 at Alex Box Stadium. It's one of the best environments in college baseball, one of the best crowds in college baseball. That sets them up really, really well for a deep run.
And last one here, we appreciate it. Peter Flaherty is our guest, national writer and analyst over at Baseball America. how do you feel the health of college baseball is? 'Cause I feel like it's from an exposure perspective, it's as good as it's ever been. But I look at it and I go, it's so regional, and the SEC is just dominating up in Omaha, and you don't see a lot of schools from out west, and now they're in the Big Ten or they're in the ACC. Like, do you feel like it's gotten a little regional, if more popular, or do you feel like it's in a good place?
It's a good question. I think nationally, and I might have my rose-colored glasses on of covering the sport, but for me, I feel like we're entering the golden age of college baseball. Now, I'm on the younger side, but at least in my lifetime, this feels kind of like we're entering the golden age, which is a really great thing to say. And the SEC is the best conference in college baseball, without a doubt. I mean, they could have 8 or 9 regional hosts this year, 13 teams get in the field. So I think they're carrying the load. But when you talk about teams out west and some of these, quote unquote, smaller schools like Coastal Carolina, like Coastal could host. UCLA has a really quality team. They're looking like a host, and they have what it takes to potentially make a deep run into June. So I think while much of the talent, or at least, a really good amount of the talent, is centered and focused in the SEC, there are high-quality players and high-quality teams in every corner of the country. There are just more of them in SEC country. But I think no matter where you live, no matter what team you're a fan of, there's plenty to root for and plenty to follow.
Peter, we certainly appreciate some of your time. If you're looking for college baseball content this time of year, you can check him out on Twitter at Peter G. Flaherty. Of course, catch him on Baseball America. He's a national writer and analyst there for college baseball and the MLB draft. Enjoyed the conversation. We'll do it again soon, all right?
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. He is Peter Flaherty. Just quickly, because I want to transition out of this. You know what? We'll do it in the next segment. We'll do college baseball and kind of look at Baseball America's field. I have some big picture thoughts, not necessarily, LSU is playing its first round game against Central Connecticut. What is that? I'm not getting into that. There's a big picture thing that I want to get into, and I want to spend a little bit more time on it than a minute and a half. So we'll do that when we come back after this.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is that website. Every car that's on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. It's a great resource to go check out, genesisofbatonrouge.com. You can find all the vehicles, as I mentioned. There's a lot of great information. There's pricing. There's great pictures, safety information as well. You can get a feel for what you're kind of looking at, but you don't really know until you get behind the wheel. And my guess is that a lot of you that are driving around listening, that may be listening on demand or in your workout or in the car, wherever the case may be, you've never been behind the wheel of a Genesis because they're fairly new to the game. Go check it out. You'll see the difference. It's an experience to drive a Genesis. It's an experience to deal with the great people at Genesis of Baton Rouge. It's an experience to have that 3 years of complimentary valet maintenance. Go try it, and you won't regret it. Tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you by. Their airline at Pico, across the street from Women's Hospital. If you're in the market for a vehicle in Baton Rouge, you're probably on Airline Highway. So go stop by, tell them we sent you in, and start that process today with one of their brand ambassadors. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online, genesisofbatonrouge.com, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
So just had a great conversation there with Peter Flaherty. I hope to have him back on sometime soon. Guys got a really good handle on college baseball, and I could tell that when I listened to their podcast yesterday. I candidly had not heard it before, but will be a return listener because I think they did a great job with it. And I'm constantly trying to take in as much college baseball content as I can for 2 reasons. One, I love it. I told you last week, dealing with these RPIs and strength of schedules and the moving, the metrics and all that kind of stuff fascinates me. And the second reason is I think I can be a little bit of education here for you. Is I think that's probably most of why you tune in. I don't think a lot of you tune in to my show because I make you cackle 4 times a day and you just can't stop laughing. It's a danger to stop driving. I do think that at times I can tell you something you may not already know. I can research something you may not already know and convey something and make you think a little bit, or give you information that you weren't armed with previously. And so I was checking into that. And one of the things that I continue to wrestle with And I talked about this in early March when LSU started SEC play. Like, these 10 weeks are so intense and so back and forth and so cutthroat. I mean, it was unfathomable to me that Arkansas would lose 4 out of 5 SEC series, that Tennessee would lose 5 out of 6 SEC series, including 4 straight at home. Like, that seemed impossible to me. But it is. It's possible because the league is so freaking good. And that makes these 10 weeks so entertaining because I can go down the list of the 8 SEC series and I can probably scrap the Missouri series until last week. And then you'll see what's going on with South Carolina. But, like, really, there's going to be like 5 marquee series every week that are fascinating, that have first-round draft choices pitching and Conference Player of the Year candidates. It's so great. I do have a small bit of me that is disappointed when we get to the postseason, into the Supers and in Omaha, and we just run it back. And that's probably the wrong way to look at it because, like, look at what LSU and Florida put on the field in 2023. I mean, Wyatt Langford was in the big leagues in like 5 minutes. He broke camp with the Rangers. What is that, 7 months later? Skeens was starting the All-Star game like right after that. Now, he didn't pitch in the championship series. I get it, but that's the team. Cruz was right up immediately. And that's quality entertainment for sure, and it's high-level baseball for sure. But it's so familiar. And I like the fact that when LSU used to get to Omaha, you'd play Stanford or you'd play Fullerton. Back in the day, you'd play Wichita State. I like the idea of Florida State being there and you playing them, or dealing with the Kyle Schwarber Indiana team. And now I look at the college baseball brackets and the projections they put out, and because the SEC is going to put legitimately 13 or 14 teams in, we'll see what Kentucky and Mississippi State do over the next 2 weeks. There has to be an SEC team in all but 2 regionals. Like, you look at the Baseball America bracket that we were just discussing with Peter, and you've got 6 of the top 8 national seeds or SEC teams. So clearly those have an SEC team in them. They're the host. But you look at the 2 that aren't. You've got Tallahassee, which does not have an SEC team in it. And then you've got Chapel Hill, which has Florida in it. Now, again, we don't know where these teams are going, but I'm doing this as an example. And then Tallahassee is paired with Los Angeles in this, and that doesn't have an SEC team. But those are the only 3. There's an SEC team in every other pod. So for LSU, in the Baseball America pod, you've got Louisville, Arizona, and Central Connecticut in your regional. I don't know anything about those teams other than that Jay Johnson used to coach at Arizona. But they're paired with Fort Worth, and there's Oklahoma. And that makes me immediately go, well, there's Kyson Witherspoon right in front of you. And it's not unlike Jonathan Gray, who was at Oklahoma in 2013. And they went up to West Virginia and won that regional. So they came to Baton Rouge, and you had to face Big Bad Dude. And there's Kyson Witherspoon right there. And I'll flip it over, and I'll look at D1 Baseball. And both of these publications have LSU as the number 2 national seed behind Texas. And D1 Baseball's got Miami, Southeastern, and Bryant in LSU's pod. And then across the way in Raleigh, who LSU would play in a super, there's Florida as the 2 seed. And Florida is sizzling. I think they're 10-2 in their last 4 weekends in league play. Just beat Texas, beat Arkansas. Like, they're playing awesome. And it just feels like it's inevitable that LSU's getting an SEC team coming in here in the Super, if they can get there, obviously. And then you look to Omaha, and I feel like you're probably going to have 5 SEC teams in Omaha. And that's great for competition. And it's great for ESPN because you've got big fan bases that really care, that feel like they've got a chance to win a national championship. And that's really good for the sport. And you've got high-profile players that are more recognizable to the common fan than when Stony Brook shows up, right? But you knew this was coming the day that they announced that this transfer portal was a reality. And LSU's capitalized big time. LSU does not win the national championship in 2023 without Tommy White and Paul Skeens and Thatcher Hurd, who they took from 2 power conferences in the Air Force Academy via Team USA. But it's just driven the talent down into one little spot. And maybe it's because it hurts worse to lose to Ole Miss or Florida than it does to lose to Florida State or UC Irvine. But they're just scarier too. And it feels like because you're going to put so many teams into the tournament, like when you had 12 teams in the SEC, 4 of them weren't going to make it. All of a sudden, there's only 8 teams in the tournament. Like, you're not that concerned. Now, you got 16 teams in the league, and 14 are going to make it, and there are only 16 regionals, and you can only have 1 per regional, so somebody's everywhere. They're all over the place. You can't take a step without dealing with an SEC team. And this is not I'm not terrified that LSU has no chance to move on. LSU's done fine at home against SEC teams. Fine meaning they hadn't lost a series yet. So I'm okay with that. It's just, I'd probably rather play West Virginia. And maybe the host that has the SEC team will beat them. I just don't have any confidence in that. Because Florida was a nearly under 500 team last year until the last week. And they went to Stillwater and laid the hammer on them, and went to Clemson and laid the hammer on them. What did Florida finish in the league last year? 11th? Ole Miss, 2 years before that. Last team in the field. Goes to Miami, wins. Goes to Southern Miss, wins. I feel like the 11th best team in the SEC is better than the 2nd or 3rd best team in the ACC, or certainly Big 12. And it feels halfway not healthy for the sport, halfway like I'd really rather do something different. So if you're LSU, the good news is that this caveat means that when you host a regional, they can't show up. So that's one feather in your cap. But after that, probably going to have to jump right back into this grind. So I don't know if it's good or bad. I go back and forth on it. I wanted Peter's thoughts. He thinks that the committee's going to go with 6 national seeds. I did a segment on that yesterday and wrote about it today at LouisianaSports.net. If you're curious about the national seed picture and you'd like to know what that kind of looks like, I've done, I think, a representative job of making it really digestible over at LouisianaSports.net. I took all the teams that have a chance to get a national seed as of right now and just did a blurb on them. And the resume sits right there, and I think it's pretty easy to read. So if you're curious about that and what LSU needs to do, go check it out. If you're thinking to yourself, well, LSU is the number 2 national seed according to Baseball America and the 2 national seed according to D1 Baseball, they're in. I don't think they are. I think it's likely they're in because I think it's likely they're going to win 2 games this weekend. But if they got swept, which anything's possible, if they got swept, you got issues. Your RPI is going to be an issue. The amount of SEC teams in front of you is going to be an issue because Bama could probably push in front of you. There'd be 6 SEC teams in front of you in the RPI. And then your standing in the conference could be an issue. And at that point, they will start looking elsewhere. But I lay that all out in the piece at LouisianaSports.net. Go check it out there. It's for free. No paywalls, no pop-ups, no nothing. Just go check it out at LouisianaSports.net. SEC Power Ranking. Speaking of the SEC, let's do that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday shows brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. You're looking to get in the pool of your dreams. Contact my guy, Joey Blanchard, builtbyrenaissance.com. Beautiful thing about working with Renaissance Homes and Pools is you're going to deal with a local company that has the owner front and center. Joey Blanchard owns and operates the company. He's going to be the person you sit down with to make sure that your design is exactly what you want. He's got this incredible software that can make it reality right there in front of you to scale. You can put your furniture there. You can put your outdoor kitchen there and show you exactly what it's going to look like to scale. And then they'll get to work. and you'll see Joey when that work begins, and you'll see Joey when that work ends, and all the way through. I love telling you about local businesses where the ownership cares and they're involved. Those are the kind of people you want to work with. And Joey Blanchard is part of the Baton Rouge community and has done this for dozens and dozens of folks around the area. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools. You can find them online at builtbyrenaissance.com. You're looking at potentially, depending on weather, obviously, 6, 8, 9 weeks, start to finish, but getting that pool done. So start right now. You're talking about midsummer. You're in that swimming pool. Go to builtbyrenaissance.com right now. Fill out that contact information. Get in that pool of your dreams. Renaissance Homes and Pools. All right. It's that time. This is not going to go well, by the way. I can already feel that.
I just saw it, and I'm preparing for the worst.
Bones. Let's do some power rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings. The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Okay, calm down, people. Calm down. I was there at the box.
Pitchforks are out, Hunt.
I was there for both wins, and Saturday was a clock cleaning. I was there. And I like LSU's top 2 in the rotation better than Arkansas's. But Zach Root's still really good, and Gage Wood's still really good, and Arkansas's lineup, I think, is better and more consistent than LSU's. I'm thrilled LSU won the series. I'm thrilled it was at home, and I'm thrilled we're not playing Arkansas this week. Do I think Arkansas is a little bit better than LSU? I do, and I've said that. Now, I get it. They've lost 3 out of 4. I know. But I'm just trying to take the entirety of the body of work as opposed to just the smallest sample size we just saw. I love LSU's team. Told you on Monday to start the show that LSU's good enough to do whatever they want. I have Arkansas at number 1.
The LSU Tigers.
I did move LSU up from 3 to 2, okay? I think LSU has got a force at the top of its rotation with Anderson and Ianson, and I like the lineup at home a lot, but I still have in my brain that weekend at Auburn and that weekend at Texas A&M and some of that weekend at Oklahoma and some of that weekend in Austin, and it gives me a little bit of pause, but hopefully they can play at home for the first 2 weeks of the postseason and shake that off. I like LSU a lot. Very much can win a national championship. Second in the SEC and probably second in the country. That's not bad.
The Auburn Tigers.
I moved Auburn up 2 spots here, and it's not because they crushed South Carolina, who's awful. But Dutton's throwing it well, and Tilley's been pretty good. And we knew that Ike Irish was going to be good, and he's going to be a first-round pick. And Cooper McMurray hits a lot of home runs, and these freshmen are dynamos. Keep in mind, I don't think Derek Carroll is going to win Freshman of the Year in the league. That's going to come from Auburn. I think Auburn's really good. Butch Thompson's done a nice job. I have been doubting them really all year. Not right now. I got them up to number 3.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
I know Georgia went to Tuscaloosa and lost. I know. But they also hit 1 billion home runs in the first game, and they're scary in that way. They throw hard on the pitching staff, even though they walk too many guys. And they've had some weekends that haven't been great. But they are ferocious offensively, and I'm going to give them that feather in their cap and put them up at number 4.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Commodores go to Knoxville and win 2 out of 3. That's impressive. J.D. Thompson looks fantastic. Fennell has been weird but really good. If you're not familiar with Fennell, their third starter, he quick pitches everybody and he throws a bunch of stuff that's like 86 miles an hour, and it's weird, but it works. And their ERA as a team is sparkling, and they're starting to hit a little bit more. It's not great, but they're hitting a little bit more. And I was impressed with what they did in Knoxville over the weekend. So I will give Vanderbilt the nod, up 3 spots from number 8 to number 5.
The Texas Longhorns.
I'm just not real high on Texas right now. And I realize that I told you I wasn't trying to be reactionary with Arkansas and LSU. And I was trying to look at the whole body work. And Texas' whole body work's really good. But I'm concerned about the offense. We'll see what Ballou does when he comes back. I'm concerned with not having Spencer. I'm concerned with how they played the last 6 games. I'm probably not going to pick them to come out of their own regional. I just don't feel great. The talent level didn't feel great when they were 19-2, and I just couldn't ignore it. But now, after 2 weeks, I think they may have turned into a pumpkin. I could be proven an idiot, which would happen for not the first time, the billionth time. But I just don't love Texas right now.
The Florida Gators.
I do like Florida a lot, and I gave up on them. They were 1-11 in the league. Now they are sizzling. You knew what they had with Liam Peterson at the top of the rotation, but now Pierce Coppola is back and throwing the ball really well. And they're hitting, and I know they don't have Kobe Shelton, and they wish they had him, but they're winning a lot of games. And I think Kevin O'Sullivan's a great coach, and I think this program always had talent, and it's starting to show a little bit now. And they've got a real chance, to go from 1-11 to hosting a regional if they can sweep Alabama this weekend, which would be unbelievable.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
I moved the balls back to 8. They're just not winning any series. And I think Liam Doyle is the best ace in the country. And I think some of the guys they have in the bullpen throw 100 miles an hour, including Nate Snead. And I think their lineup can be really, really scary. But they don't beat anyone, and I don't know what to do with that. They've got an issue with Marcus Phillips in the second slot, not because he can't pitch. He pitches pretty well. But everybody that gets on base steals second and steals third. That's a problem, and it drove Tony Vitello nuts this week, and he said that Phillips may not be able to pitch anymore because he can't hold runners on. That's as direct as you'll hear Tony Vitello about a player on his own team. So I think Tennessee's really talented. I think they can go to Omaha. I think they can win. I got them 8.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Alabama moves up 3 spots after beating Georgia 2 out of 3. Talent in the staff that hasn't materialized. Talent in the lineup. They're probably a host. If they go to Gainesville and sweep or win 2 out of 3, can they potentially sneak into the top 8? Maybe. The RPI is really good. They're pretty good. They're not great by my estimation. That's why I've got them at number 9.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
Dropped Oklahoma back 1 spot to number 10. They've kind of been hovering between 11 and 9 for most of the season. It's Kyson, and then it's what else you got. They don't hit a ton. They do run a lot. They're athletic. They'll be dangerous as a 2 seed, I think, because of Witherspoon, but I don't think that their entirety of the team in terms of talent level and the completeness of the team is great. So got them down at number 10.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Ole Miss stays put, lost a weekend series over the weekend. They'll welcome Auburn into Oxford. I like Hunter Elliott when he throws his fastball for a strike. Sometimes he doesn't do that, and when he doesn't, he gives up runs. And then after that, I don't love the rotation. They're all or nothing on offense. They hit a home run or they don't get much. Now, they hit a lot of home runs, which is good. They strike out way too much, and that hurts you in college baseball because college players make a lot of errors. And if you strike out, you can't force them to make errors. So for that reason, their offense goes stagnant some, but they're good. They'll be a 2 seed, I think. I don't think they'll get out of a regional, but they could. Texas A&M! Drop the Aggies back 5 spots, and I don't know what else you could do because you got to look at the entirety of the body of work, and they've been swept 4 times now, including by Missouri, who's the worst SEC team ever. So I'm not sure how to handle that properly. Would I take some guys off of their team and put them on my team most years? Yeah. Would I take their record right now? No, it's awful. So that's why they're back at number 12.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Now Mississippi State's got to deal with red-hot Mizzou. So you got that. Mississippi State, good pitching staff, good offense that won over the weekend against Ole Miss. They're playing on some emotion. They're playing with some talent. They've got their limitations, but they're kind of playing freed up with no coach now, and that was a good weekend win for them over the weekend. So I got them at 13.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Good weekend for Kentucky. They've put themselves in position to get into the NCAA tournament, but I didn't feel like it was enough to move the needle for me because I don't like their talent level. And I've said it every single week on Wednesdays. It just is what it is. So we'll see if they can play one more good one to try to get their way into the SEC tournament with a decent seed and wiggle their way into the NCAA tournament. They're going to be right there on the bubble come Selection Monday, and for that reason, they're all the way back at 14 because I think they would be the last team in.
The Missouri Tigers.
You heard that right. Moved them up to 15. The Missouri Tigers go to College Station. They pop the bubbles. They win 3 games. They hit the ball over the place. They held Texas A&M to 4 hits in the last 2 days.
It wasn't close, Hunt.
It was not close. It was not close. They scored 6 in the 9th on Friday and then dominated for 2 straight days. Small sample size? Sure. But I got to move them up.
They proved us wrong, Hunt. We said they weren't going to win 3 games. They did it in one weekend.
I think we had to set the over-under at a certain point at a half.
We did.
It was a half. They got it done.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Oof. Does that put some pressure on LSU if I do that?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to do that, but what am I supposed to do? They went to Auburn and gave up $1 billion. There's your SEC power rankings.
Yeah, sorry. It was a little bit long, so we ran out of the
That's okay. I mean, we were right there at the end. That's good.
Yeah, we were.
But would you have moved Missouri up?
Yes, of course. They won. They
South Carolina's got 5 wins.
Okay, but we're talking about right now. This is the rankings for this week. Right now, I would have Missouri over South Carolina. South Carolina could not have made more mistakes in the series last weekend.
They did lose atrocious. One of the games 11-10. They were competitive in that game. The other 2 we don't need to talk about. No. There was a 24-2 in there.
Yes, there was.
That's
and then the next game, they were the pitcher tried to throw it to first base with 1 out and in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Yeah, that was tough. I think I had to do it. Now, no one has barged in the door with a pitchfork yet. That I need to monitor.
Now
the
chat is
the chat's up in
no
arms.
surprise. There's no surprise. The chat is going crazy right now.
I have to read my sheet during that. I can't memorize all that.
Let's just go through. Okay, let's see. Hunt is on fentanyl. I like LSU a lot, but they suck. Hunt Palmer. I
didn't say they suck. I ranked them second in the league.
Beginning to wonder if Hunt watches baseball. I think Hunt thinks it's a jinx for him to put us at number one.
Have I put LSU number one? I don't know if I have or not. I think I have.
I think you have. I think
I have. But
Hunt is jealous. T-Bob's getting all the attention today, so he had to do something extra stupid to get back in the limelight.
Have y'all seen Arkansas hit? They didn't hit a lot against LSU, but I mean they're really good. LSU's had some issues.
Yes. Look, I don't think you did something horrible by putting Arkansas number one, LSU number two. You are doing what the definition of your rankings are, which is not just taking what happened last week.
It's not a week-long snapshot. It's not a head-to-head contest.
Yes.
Because everybody's got their warts.
And you finally are respecting Vanderbilt. I really appreciate the fact you had them at 5.
I mean, I usually, and I've talked about my process here. I don't look at the week before. I just go do it, and then I pull up the Instagram post of the week before, and then I see how much everybody moved. And usually, there's like one or two that moved, 2 or 3, and a lot of ones and zeros. And this week, Vandy moved up 3, Florida moved up 3, Tennessee moved back 4, Bama moved up 3, A&M moved back 5. So there was just that's way more than usual. A lot of movement. Very volatile. I think we got 2 more of these left.
Yep.
It'll be the middle of the SC tournament next week, and then into regional week, and then we'll hang them up. So South Carolina, Missouri really have 2 more chances here to blast off for that bottom spot, and then we'll see what I decide to do with LSU. I will say this. I feel good about LSU's team right now, but Arkansas's lineup is very, very good, and their bullpen can be very, very good. LSU got to it on Friday night, and I'm thankful for that. It was actually Saturday morning, so I was there. All that SEC Power Rankings will move forward and close things out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. They can do it all. Put in a gorgeous walk-in tub. Put in a glass walk-in shower. They can do your entire vanity with all the drawers and the mirrors and everything to spruce up the bathroom. If you live in an older house and are looking to do just a smaller scale renovation on a couple of things, David Vaughn and his team are happy to do that. If you'd like to do the whole meal deal, David Vaughn and his team can do all of that as well. They are licensed, they are bonded, they are insured, and they've been doing it for 3 decades. Go with someone you can trust. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online. You can get that free consultation. That doesn't cost you anything to sit down with David and talk about what you're looking for. He can show you something he's done in the past that looks quite like it, I'm sure, because he's done it a lot. And then you can move forward understanding that there are financing options available, 0% up to 18 months. That's same as cash if you qualify for it. It's One Bath and Closets. Check them out online, onebathandclosets.com. Onebathandclosets.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
The 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge Spring Cha-Ching, powered by Citizens Bank and Trust, is back. Register today at 1045ESPN.com for your chance to win $5,000 in cash. It is the Spring Cha-Ching cash giveaway from Citizens Bank and Trust and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Have you seen these guys, British guys, Jace and Josh, touring Louisiana?
No, I have not.
I don't know what their whole channel has
Cassie,
been.
You've seen them? What's the deal?
It popped into my...
I've seen them before, but I haven't really watched a lot of their stuff.
I've seen a lot of that Louisiana stuff. They stayed in they didn't stay there. It was the hotel they got in Shreveport was so bad they left.
Well, what do you expect from Shreveport? I mean,
find a place to lodge. They went down to Lake Charles and had Daryl Special. Enjoyed that. They went to Billy's to get some boudin balls.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like they were impressed.
Really?
I would eat 50 of them if you gave them to me.
Yeah, Billy's is quite good.
They did not pronounce Homa properly.
Well,
Huma is what they were calling it.
I'm surprised they didn't mispronounce a lot of other things.
Yeah, so they did some barbecue down in Huma that appeared to be pretty good. But it's just been interesting. I'm curious how lucrative that gig is. And what else they've been doing. All I've ever seen is their Louisiana stuff. I'm sure there's lots more of two British guys running around elsewhere outside of Louisiana, but I was thrilled that they liked a Darryl Special because I like a Darryl Special. Not liking the Boudin balls. I mean, come on, man. That's my kid likes a Boudin ball. He's 3. I mean, as if you're in Louisiana, you like Boudin. They also
Bowden
doesn't like them. Bowden is
what
they were calling it. Yeah.
I think that's probably the point of the content, right? Is to just go around and mispronounce everything and
screw up a lot.
Talk about it. Yeah.
All right, let's play Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, first one here. This has been in the news a little bit in the golf world since the Masters anyway. Bryson DeChambeau mentioned that Rory McIlroy didn't speak to him once during the final round of said Masters when, of course, Rory ended up winning, completing the career Grand Slam. Somebody asked Rory about it at his PGA Championship press conference, and he said, quote, "I don't know what he was expecting. We're trying to win the Masters. I'm not going to try to be his best mate out there." A rivalry brewing between Rory and Bryson. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I mean, I don't think they care. There is a video of the two of them at the first tee at the Masters, and it's very cordial.
Yeah.
Smiles, handshakes, caddy shakes, like the whole deal. He didn't talk to him after that. I'm fine with that. You're not out there to be best buds. It's not, I mean, I'm not asking a bunch of questions walking down the fairway. If you want to do that, and it's fine, whatever. Like, you're certainly under no responsibility to do that. So, yeah, I think that was a whole bunch of nothing. And that, again, the Bryson answer just seemed a little bit out of touch, which is just par for the course. He's out of touch. He doesn't function like the normal social people, and when something happens, he usually doesn't handle it really well.
All right, next one here. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred announced yesterday that he was removing Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, among other all deceased players that were on the MLB's permanently ineligible list, meaning both Rose and Jackson will be eligible for consideration by the Classic Era Baseball Committee for the Hall of Fame. Rose and Jackson will both get in. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. There's still a lot of people that don't like Pete Rose. They'll try to keep him out. If you saw me on Twitter, this was not a shot at Bob Ryan at all. Like, well, I don't know Bob Ryan. I never read anything Bob Ryan's written. He's been on Part of the Interruption a lot. But, like, he said, never forget that Pete Rose loved baseball as much as anyone ever, but he loved gambling more. And I was just like, I will probably forget that because I just know him as a guy that got a lot of hits. So that's fine with me.
The most hits.
I didn't watch him play, but I think he was pretty good, and that's probably what I'll remember more than his gambling. So just me, I'm torn on this whole deal about posthumously putting him in the Hall of Fame. I don't think they'll get in. I don't think Pete Rose will get in because there are a lot of people that hate him. Maybe as time goes on and in 20 years when all those guys have aged out of voting, but I just kind of doubt it.
Yeah, it still seems a bit much for me. Like there's guys in the NFL Hall of Fame, O.J. Simpson. No, never. There's a lot of guys that are in the Hall of Fame that did some things you probably would say, they probably should be in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose bet on some baseball games. Probably only bet on his team to win, was as he said. So I don't understand why the guy with the most hits in the history of the league should probably be in the Hall of Fame. But that's just a lot of guys in the baseball writing world apparently disagree with me.
So 200 hits is a great season. That's a big benchmark. You got 200 hits a year for 20 years, you'd still be significantly short of Pete Rose.
Yeah. That's just one way to look at it, and it's pretty obvious to see this guy was definitely deserving. But all right, last one here. The Baltimore Ravens have signed running back Derrick Henry to a 2-year, $30 million extension, the largest in NFL history for a running back over 30. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
He's very much still productive. Like, he was great last year. It's a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
If it was a 5-year deal, I'd be like, well, you're nuts. But it's 2 years. Like, there's a chance next year, like in 2026, that he's obviously over the hill.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great chance, but
it still has one more year.
I'm all in for this. The Ravens usually do smart stuff, so I'll err on that side. That's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Wednesday, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. That's it for us here. Be back tomorrow getting you ready for LSU in South Carolina. Fired up to do it. Matt's going to drive you home on AFR. See you tomorrow, same time, same place for The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.